Hello, welcome to Tejedoraknits. My name is Gladys. I am a knitter based out of Southern Nevada here in the United States, and welcome to my little corner of the internet where we chat about knitting. So today we're going to be talking about everything that has been on and off of my needles over the past 3 weeks. As always, it's a big one. I finished some of the projects that I am the most proud of, the most difficult projects I think that I tackled this year. They are finally done. I have a total of 3 finished objects, all 3 of which like I said, I'm so proud of. I have fresh WIPs on the needles. I have 2 WIPs right now and some interesting acquisitions. So let's get right into it. I am filming this the day after Small Business Saturday, and I think I did a good job at supporting small businesses, especially in yarn. I purchased quite a bit more than I had originally anticipated, which is okay. Hopefully those will all be here by the next podcast. I made a purchase from Explorer Knits and Fibers, Witchfire Fibers, and ZeeZee Textiles, which are, some of my classic favorites. I also yesterday took my mom to a little farmer's market. We got to support local small businesses and get a lot of yummy food. I just had some of the food from yesterday right now, and it's so good, so good. So Small Business Saturday was a success. I am wrapping up on getting all of my gifts and Christmas decorations and everything ready to go. So it is a busy and full time of the year. And a quick little mention to what I am wearing. This is my cloudy, is it Cloudy Days or Cloud vest? I'm not sure. I think it's just Cloud. This is a Cloud vest by Alicia Plummer. It is knit up in Witchfire Fibers Natural DK. So it's a non-superwash DK weight. It has these beautiful little puffs. I did lose yarn chicken, so I made some modifications to the top since it's worked bottom up. But overall, this is such a nice piece to wear. Now, let's move over into the finished objects. My very first finished object, I have my finished Candelaria blouse. This is a pattern by Teti Lutsak. I am so proud of this project. This is by far the most adventurous and difficult project that I tackled this year. It is a fingering weight blouse, and I think the hardest part was the yarns that I chose for this. So the main color is from Woolberry Fiber Co. It is on their berry linen base, which is 50% alpaca, 25% linen, 25% silk, in this lovely like yellowy greenish color. And then the contrast color is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the color olive. So I think the color pairing worked out really well. The construction is a modular construction, so it's not your usual raglan. I mean, the shaping kind of works the same, but the stitches are distributed in a different way. So I thought that was really cute and unique. These yarns are a little bit difficult to work with in Colorwork because they have different amounts of elasticity in them. So that could make tensioning a little bit difficult, but I think overall it blocked out really well. So I don't see huge issues with my tension after blocking. Both of these yarns really transform after blocking. So a few more details about this. I made the size 1, which recommended size for me size 2, but just because I knew that the Woolberry yarn would grow a lot with blocking, I decided to size down instead, and that was the right call. So I ended up with a finished bust circumference after blocking of 35 inches versus 34 inches is what is indicated for the size 1. So I kind of ended up between a size 1 and a size 2, which is perfect for me. It has 3/4 length sleeves with like this large split, this long split. I think it's like 3 inches of split rib. And it has these beautiful center double decreases going all the way down the arm. What else? It also has a split hem here at the bottom. I did lengthen my body by about 2 inches, just the extra length that I needed. And it does have a few short rows on the back. And after each short row, which I think there's 3 of them, I added a set of waist decreases. So just a little bit of decreasing, but that was just enough to shape my body perfectly. Now this one I did add a little care tag just because it's a little bit difficult to distinguish the front and the back. I really have to look at it to find the short rows. So I added a little tag for this one. I worked on a 3mm needle for the body, and I did size up to a 3.25mm needle for the color work. This project took me a very long time. So I cast this on August 30th, and I did not finish it until November 10th, which is probably the largest time span of any project that has actively been in my rotation in this year. So that was 72 days. And I feel like the colorwork yoke obviously required a lot of attention, a lot of time, and I got a little burnt out after that, so I had to take a break for several days before I had the energy to pick this project back up. So it was a very slow one, comparatively speaking, to most of my projects. For the amount of yarn that I used exactly 25 grams of the pure silk, so half a ball. And for the berry linen, I used 180 grams. So it actually stretched quite far. I mean, granted, it does not have full length sleeves, but I thought I was going to end up using a little bit more. Now, I had 4 skeins of this yarn. I got it in a mystery pack from Witchfire Fibers. No, not Witchfire Fibers, from Woolberry Fiber last year. So I have 2 more skeins. And I was kind of thinking about like what to do with them this morning. And I thought, like, why don't I give it to one of you guys? I thought that this is a really unique yarn to work with. And it's very interesting. I feel like this would be really good if you have a bit of a cooler summer. Unfortunately, I think with the alpaca, this is too warm for me to wear in the summer, or like for a winter t-shirt if you live in a hot climate. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to try out this yarn. So I have 2 full skeins and then little 20 grams left over that I'll toss in there so that way you can swatch with this little one here. But yeah, if you want to get a chance at receiving these 2 skeins, just include the word, how about we do linen? Just include the word linen in your comment so that way I can filter the comments through there and pick someone to send these beautiful skeins to. I think this would work. Something to note is that I think this yarn works specifically for projects that have a drapier construction and that have at least a little bit of positive ease. I don't think that this would be the best for, negative ease garments. But yeah, this would be a nice little tank top quantity or t-shirt quantity, and it could work for different areas of the year depending on your climate. So my next podcast, which is, they're usually spaced about 3 weeks, make sure to come back to that one if you left a comment, so that way you can see if you were the winner, so you can reach out to me so I can get these yarns over to you. So just a little way to say thank you. And because this is such a unique base, I thought it would be fun to, give somebody else a chance to try it out. And lastly, before moving on, the cost for this project. So the ball of pure silk, I did get it on sale for $8.50. So I'm going to include the cost of a full ball. And then the linen, the cost for half of the packet was $43.50. I did include, I remember when I wrote down the cost, the shipping was really high for that order. So that makes it a little bit higher than it would seem, but roughly a little over $20 per skein is what I paid. The pattern cost me $8, so total cost of $60, and almost cost me my sanity, almost. But I think that's a fair price to pay for this beautiful piece. So I will love and cherish this piece for the rest of my life. My next finished object, I'm also so proud of, you guys. I finished my very first cardigan. This is my Beatrix cardigan. I know the lighting is not always the best in this room, but this is my Beatrix cardigan from Gregoria Fibers. Let me show you the back. It is done in this beautiful textured stitch. I think it might be called bamboo. Don't quote me on that, but it's this beautiful little textured stitch. And it has this nice cable running down the side. This one's a little bit harder to show you. Well, there we go. I think there we go. You can see with the cable running all the way down the sleeve. It is a bit of a saddle shoulder, and the cable runs all the way from the top to the bottom of the sleeve. And it has these beautiful vintage buttons. So I guess I'll talk about the buttons since I'm here. But these are vintage Bakelite buttons, which I had to Google what Bakelite was. Apparently it's one of the earlier forms of plastic that was used for buttons back in the 1900s, as if I was not born in the 1900s myself. But yeah, vintage buttons that I got from Textile Divisions back at Flock Fiber Festival. So I think they add like a really sweet little pop to this cardigan. So last time that I had spoken to you guys, I had kind of gone over the sleeve saga. I had to redo one of the sleeves 3 times, but the other sleeve went seamlessly. Somehow I measured something wrong, and one of my sleeves is like half an inch or almost an inch, a bit shorter than the other one, but it's fine. I don't care. It has these lace little cables down the button band, and for the buttons, it has button loops as opposed to button holes, which was nice. So the yarn, I used Oola and Leah Baby Yak, 100% Baby Yak yarn in their DK weight. For most of it, I had 4 skeins of the DK and 2 of the fingering, which I held double to kind of finish up. I transitioned to the fingering in like the latter third of the sleeve, and I can't notice where I transitioned. I was scared that there might be a bit of a demarcation, but there isn't, and I think it blended in really nicely. So this yarn is, oh my god, how do I even explain it? It is so luxurious. It is so soft. It has kind of like that brushed effect. Now, Baby Yak was kind of like explained to me as, or at least Oola and Leah kind of explains it as a slightly, as a more affordable alternative to cashmere, but it still has that really low micron count in that like beautiful softness. I have not yet worked with 100% cashmere. I did place an order for cashmere in their pre-order this past summer. That's going to be for my mother, but if I like it, I think I'm going to order more for myself. So I'll revisit that statement once I work with their cashmere. But for this yarn, it does have spinning oil on it, so I did heavily wash my skeins before winding them for this project. So I washed them with hot water and dish soap and changed out the water like at least 2 or 3 times, and it seems to work pretty well. So sizing on this one, I made a size 1 because this cardigan does have a lot of positive ease, and I think I've mentioned before, I'm not exactly a fan of a lot of positive ease in my garments. And also this pattern is designed for an Aran weight, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a worsted plus a mohair, and I'm just doing mine with a DK. Now, it is not a light DK. I'd say it's a little bit heavier as far as DKs go, but still my fabric is slightly more open, and I think yak is a bit drapier than wool is. So there's that. If you live in a cold climate, I could see how the mohair would really make it more like a jackety type of feel, but this works perfectly for my climate. So my gauge was a little bit smaller than recommended. So the size 1 should have had 42.5 inches bust circumference. Mine has 40 inches. So honestly, it wasn't that much of a difference if we're being honest. And this is about as much positive ease as I would like to have. It's nice and oversized, but anything more than this, I think would just be a little bit too much for my frame. Length worked out quite well. Now with oversized garments, length can be a bit trickier because I don't want it to be too cropped and just have a huge swath of fabric around my waist, but I also don't want it to be too long to where it starts to hit my hips, because my hips are the widest part of my body, and they start bunching, and it's just not my fave. So this worked out just right to where after blocking, it went down to the length just like about the max that I would comfortably like to wear. So all in all, the fit was really nice. The only thing is that if I wear it open, I find that the shoulders start to kind of like slip. The collar doesn't have a lot of structure, so it starts to like slip down over my shoulders. So I did like a crochet chain or all around the neckline in the hopes that maybe that would add a little bit more structure. If you have any other suggestions, please let me know, because I just feel like this collar needs a little bit more stability. So I'll play around with that and see if there's anything else that I could do to it. But also I've been trying to wear it at least with the top 2 buttons buttoned up, so that way it's not placing a lot of tension on the collar. I'm kind of worried about how the collar will hold up over time. So that's really the only thing that I'm kind of concerned about with this project. It also took a bit of time, just about 2 months. I cast this one on September 20th and finished it on November 19th. So a day shy of 2 months. I used exactly 550 grams of yarn. So I have 50 grams left. I'll definitely be using that in another project, maybe like as a contrast color. And for the cost, So this is by far my most expensive project to date, even though all things considered, it was not, like each component was not that expensive. Now, I ordered the yarn on a pre-order, so I paid just about $22 and a couple cents per skein. I guess it's more expensive just because I'm not used to having to need 600 grams for a project. I tend to make very lightweight or smaller projects where I'll use like 3, maybe 400 grams. So I had to use a lot more for this project. So I paid $132.50 for the 6 skeins of yarn. The pattern was $9. And then the buttons, it came in a pack of 10 and I used 5 of them and I broke one accidentally. So half of the cost, I guess, because I can still use the other 4 for a different project, $7.50. So total was $149. Let's just round it up to a nice even $150, which is a lot for a cardigan, but this is a beautiful heirloom piece again that I'm going to love for the rest of my life. And I have to figure out how to stabilize the collar more so that way it will last me for the rest of my life. So that is everything I have for my Beatrix cardigan. And one last little finished object. I was so prolific these past 3 weeks. I participated in the Ooey Gooey sock cow hosted by Andrea Mowry. I have to take my pictures to upload to her forum to participate for the prizes. But I learned so many new techniques with these socks. And it just reminds me how much I love sock knitting. Now, one is blocked and one is not. This is the blocked one. It feels nice. So yarn, first of all, this is a sock set from Salty Blonde Fine Fibers. I just purchased this really recently, so this didn't stay in my stash for very long. This is the sock set Moody but Gorgeous, and I used extra scraps of contrast color. This is from Woolberry Fiber Co. It's their BFL sock, which I wanted to, a couple of weeks ago, I went into their website to see if they had any packs of that yarn in stock, and I don't think they offer it anymore, which is sad because I really liked it. I like having other wool options other than merino. I get maybe they just doesn't sell really well, but I was sad to find out about that because I really like that sock yarn. Anyways, moving on, I used that as a contrast because it was saying on the pattern that I would need 24 grams and, you know, the mini has only 20. So I added in a little bit of extra. Hindsight, I wouldn't have needed it. I used 3 grams of the light pink and 17 grams of the darker pink. So I could have finished it with my 20 gram mini, but I think the little bit of extra contrast is really nice. So it has that like polka dotty color work bit over here. I did a toe up Flegel heel construction and I went back and forth with DPNs, which doing a Turkish cast on with DPNs is a nightmare, but I didn't have any like regular needles in a size 1. So I tried out DPNs of multiple sizes. I tried out my circulars. I went back and forth trying to figure out what worked best. I did the Flegel heel, more color work up here, and then welts. I had never done welts before. And then I did a stretchy cast off, the surprisingly stretchy. But this one, I think I need to redo it. I didn't do it as stretchy. So with the pearls, I didn't do the extra loop on the pearls so that it wouldn't flare out, but that made it a bit hard to get over my foot. The second one, I did the yarn over for all of the cast off stitches, and this one is a lot easier to get on and off. So all in all, this was so much fun. I think I finished it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then I did the cast off this morning. So I'd say about 4 days if we're being honest. So I finished a pair of socks in 4 days. Go me. I didn't know I had that in me. I don't like being a monogamous knitter. So when I was on the second sock, I was like, I want to work on something else. But I persevered. So these were really fun. They fit well. I know they look massive, but it's only a 57 stitch sock because my feet apparently are very narrow. I don't know. So yeah, that's all I have to say about these. Cost, I mean, the sock set cost me, I think like $38. Maybe it was $38. I don't know. But that was the cost of the sock set. I do have a good amount of leftovers, so I will definitely be using those for another sock. I really want to make a lot more socks moving forward because they're just really practical and fun and I enjoy them. So that is my last finished object. Now I have 2 brand new WIPs to the podcast. So my first WIP is my Firth sweater. It is on the needles and it is going so well. Now this is a pattern by Clow. I am making the size 2 with D-cup bust shaping in this beautiful yarn from ZeeZee Textiles. This is with the light. Let me see if I can get the light to hit it. There we go. It is the most delicious plummy brownish color, like a true plum, a cool toned plum. The color is called Wood Paneled, and it is on her yak silk fingering base, which is 65% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 15% yak. It is so nice and soft to work with. I am so looking forward to having this on my skin. So what I have done, I have actually done a lot. I had this as my only project for a few days to try and get as much work as I could on it. So I have finished all of the arms. It's in the round. I did the bust shaping, which is beautiful. So you do, it's hard to show on camera, but you do some increases here, over here where like the underarm is. So you do some increases here to add the fabric, and then you reduce the fabric right down here with decreases. So I think that's a really beautiful and smart way to have the bust decreases. It's really invisible actually on the other side because you're doing the different decreases, I guess. It has this ribbing paneled portion underneath the arms, which I think is really cute. I finished the collar. It has 2x2 rib and I knit it down. I did a little bit less length. I think it recommends knitting to 3 inches and then folding it down. I just did 2 and I think it fits really well. This has just been really nice to work with. The yarn is absolutely beautiful. It's such a pleasure to work with. So working in the body, I am alternating skeins. I'm doing the yarn forward method and I'm hiding my join or like my alternation in one of these like ribbed spots, which I think was a good call because it can definitely notice it. Hopefully that blocks out a little bit. But yeah, just working away on the body. And then at some point, I think when I run out of this skein of yarn, I'll go over to the sleeves and start working on that. But I have nothing bad to say about this. This has been really nice, even though it's been on really small needles. I think these are 3.25. Yeah, I'm doing this on 3.25 millimeter needles. And the ribbing was done on 2.75, I believe. So this is great. And my second WIP is my Ma'am cardigan by Teti Lutsak. So I am doing this in this beautiful unspun. This is from Prado de Lana. This is called Queso, which is their Criollo wool unspun. And this is the color Gris Pardo. So this is a bulky weight pattern. I had to buy needles because I didn't have 8 millimeter needles. So I just got these ones from Knit Picks because they were the most affordable option. They are quite heavy, but it's fine. So it's in this, is this moss stitch? I think it is. I think this is moss. So it lets the light through. I'm trying to show you. This is not the best demonstration, but you can kind of see how it's a little bit translucent. Learning to work with the unspun has been really fun. I got some tips from Amanda, the owner of Pardo de Lana, and she recommends to like unwind some of the yarn and then work with it as opposed to tugging because it tears very easily. I mean, it's super easy to just rub it together, but you know, it's easier. It's better not to rip it, I guess. So this cardigan is worked flat in panels. So you do 2 front panels and a back panel and you seam it, which I think is really, really good because of the open gauge. I think it doesn't have a lot of structure. So I think the seaming will provide a lot of support. So I was really glad to see that. So I worked just a big rectangle here. And then here I'm starting the decreases to shape the front of the cardigan. So I'm making the second size. I am using the recommended size. It does recommend a lot of positive ease. I didn't write it down, but I think it's anywhere from like 12 to 14 inches of positive ease, which again, I'm usually not a fan of, but I want this cardigan to wear at home and to just like throw on and off, wear for chores, taking out the trash. Like this is not going to be a delicate cardigan for me. And I did think that the extra positive ease would just be comfortable to wear around the house. And also because it does go past the hips. So I wanted to check the measurement and make sure that I had enough ease to actually go over my hips, even though I'll probably be wearing it open like 90% of the time. But just in case I did want to close it, I want to make sure it would actually close over my hips. So this size, I did meet gauge, so that's nice. The size should have a 44-inch circumference, I guess, which would be like 11 inches of positive ease at my upper bust. But my hip measurement when I checked was 40, anywhere from 40 to 41, depending on the day. So it should have just enough ease to be able to close over my hips, since I don't think it has any sort of like waist or body shaping. So I think that will work up well. I really want that cardigan because I don't have a home cardigan to wear right now. So yeah, that one is going to fill a much needed gap in my wardrobe. Those are the only two whips that I have on my needles. I'm going to try and keep it that way as long as I can. I know I'm going to need a portable project sooner rather than later, and I will cast on the Anthology mitts by Alicia Plummer, just a little pair of fingerless mitts, because eventually, if it ever decides to get cold, I love wearing fingerless mitts in the morning, and I only have one pair right now. So that'll be a nice thing to have in colder mornings, again, if it ever decides to get cold. So those are the works in progress, and then I have a couple of acquisitions to talk about. So I'll start with the yarn acquisition. So I was recently looking at the offerings from Golden Hour Knitwear. She had a Dark Academia collection, which I love anything and everything Dark Academia. And she had this really cool offering where you could order bare yarn samples, so you could try out the different bases before choosing which one to order for your collection. And the way that she offered it is that whatever you paid for your bare yarn, she would give you a shop gift card so you could put that towards your final purchase. So I got a few different samples to try out. So I was really interested in their woolen yarn. So the sample was in their fingering. And this is Patagonian Woolen Spun Merino, 410 yards. It's a 2-ply. And I actually really liked it. This was really nice and bouncy. I love a good woolen spun. That's what I've learned recently. And I paid $11 for that. I also wanted to see how their suri and like mohair bases were, and they're actually both really nice. I was really tempted to get some of these. Their suri is beautiful. It's 75 baby suri, 25 silk, and their mohair is 70 mohair, 30 silk, and they're both really nice. The suri was 11, the mohair I paid $13 for that skein. And then oh my God, this alpaca. This was a little mini of their alpaca sport. It's 100% baby alpaca. This is so soft and drapey and like, look at this drape. It's so soft and beautiful. I really wanted to order something in this base. I just couldn't find the appropriate pattern for it. So maybe in the future, I might pick up something in this base from them. This was like $7. And then I wanted to try out their fiber samples. So one of my goals for 2026 is to learn how to spin, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in my next acquisition. But I wanted to get some really beautiful fiber for when I'm a little bit more advanced. It's not going to be the first fibers that I use. So I got two of her little samples. They were $5 each. One is in Rambouillet, and the other one is a custom blend for this collection, which was, she calls it her Philosopher's Blend, which is 50% Paul Worth, 30 alpaca, and 20 Tussa silk combed top. And these are each 1 ounce. So we'll definitely use these to practice, but this is so beautiful and soft. So in the end, from her Golden Hour collection, I got a sweater's quantity, or just 4 skeins. It's going to be a cropped sweater of their woolen spun DK weight. And I got 2 braids of her Philosopher's Blend. Those won't be arriving until probably January, maybe February of next year. So I have like 2 pre-orders plus all the Black Friday yarn that I purchased. So I am gearing up for a low buy stash down 2026. So I'll go over those details in a different video. But I have one more little acquisition from Knit Picks when they had their sale. I was just scrolling through, and I didn't know that they offered fiber, and I figured it would be nice to have some affordable fiber for learning that I wouldn't feel guilty of if something went wrong. So hand-dyed fibers, The braids usually retail like 28 to 30, 31-ish dollars. And I didn't want to ruin them. So I picked up these really affordable bats of roving from Knit Picks. So this is their Wool of the Andes unspun roving. These cost me $5 each, so I got 4 packs. So these are essentially going to be my practice fibers. I will not feel guilty whatsoever if these turn out terrible, which I'm sure at least the first one will. So this is their Wool of the Andes, as I mentioned. This is the color Rooibos Heather. This one is the color Cranberry. This one is Cilantro Heather, and this one here is Aurora Heather. So this is the most textured yarn that I could find because I've been trying to do a lot of research on spinning, and they say that starting with more textured fibers are easier to work with as a beginner as opposed to superwash merinos or things like that. So this is the most textured that I found, so hopefully this works up well. I have not yet purchased my spinner. I'm going to do an e-spinner. So I've been researching a lot because I didn't know that wheels were so expensive, and I cannot spend that kind of money on a hobby at this point in time. So the one that I am looking at is the Dreaming Robots U6.1. So I'll put a picture up. If any of you guys are into spinning, if you have any thoughts or opinions about this wheel, please let me know. They have a cheaper one, but this is the other one that they have. This one's about $300, which I feel okay with, as opposed to some of the wheels that I was looking at were at least $600 to $1,200, which is, I'm sure it's worth it. I'm sure it's a beautiful piece of machinery, but I just cannot spend that right now. So I'm hoping that that one will work out well. I probably won't end up purchasing it until January, like after the holidays are over. I also, in the Knit Picks order, I got a Nitty Knotty, like one of those things where you wrap your yarn around, since they were all on sale. I have a few books that I'm going to purchase. And then I also signed up for a Craftsy membership, like one of their like $1 and change year-long memberships. I did put the reminder to cancel it in time, but they also have some spinning classes. So I'm hoping that the combination of all those things will kind of make me for a successful spinning journey. If you guys have any other recommendations, I'm all ears, but that's going to be one of my fiber craft expansions for the new year. So that is all I have to share with you guys. We're heading into peak holiday season, so I'm wishing you all a very calm and stress-free holiday. And I will chat with you guys really soon. My next video is going to be my favorites of 2025, which I was really happy and excited to make. I'll be filming my Everything I Knit in 2025 pretty soon as well. So lots of fun videos ahead. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of them. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me. And until the next one, happy knitting. Bye.